Hello, guys. Welcome to the Tabletop Gone Mad Talkback with Mage Hand High Five. These incredible people just got done playing a podcast of Tabletop Gone Mad, the not so great lands, and we're just gonna talk about how it went. And I'm excited to hear about how it went from their perspective and my perspective, and as well just like some things about doing podcasting and actual play, and the difference between doing recorded and doing audio only stuff. I feel like that's what we want to talk about. Yeah. I'm Linnie Schell. I am the creator of Tabletop Gone Mad, as well as the erstwhile DM of Twice Rolled Tales. And these lovely people are going to introduce themselves to let you know who they are if you don't already. And you should absolutely check out their podcast because it's fantastic and funny and witty and full of puns and great accent work.
Thank you.
Aww. Yay.
You wouldn't know it on the great accent work based on the the TGM we just did.
Wow. We made some choices.
Some choices were made.
That is true. Choices were made.
We definitely came in from like the gritty western of the Badlands into, and I think we're in really dire straits right now in our canon episodes where we left that to do this, and like what a pivot.
Yeah.
Before we get too deep though, Hi everybody. My name is Robin Langenhop, pronounced they them. I am occasional DM but usual player for our campaigns.
I'm Casey Pappas. I am a usual DM, occasional player in our campaigns.
I am Rowan McStay, they, them, and I am a player and usual editor of our campaigns.
I'm Max Weinberg. I am a usual player as well. He, him.
I feel like that was going to be my first question, was just like, what were your guys' initial impressions? Because I felt like you very much started in like, this needs to be serious and grounded. And by the end of the whole adventure creation process, you were like, fuck it, let's make a flat man.
Like, let's make a man that literally does not have depth.
Well, honestly, for me, I always have that first moment when going into a new system that I haven't worked with before, where I just feel like I'm in free fall and I have no idea what's going on whatsoever. And then when I was gifted the "you have an any nose" prompt, I was like, this is now my entire character, and I know exactly what to do from here on. Sometimes you just need one desperate thing to hold on to, especially in improv. You find the thing and you're like, there we go. Now I can stay alive.
I feel like I am very used to, I don't know, feeling like trying to feel really over prepared and getting really into the lore of the world and like getting really deep into the lore of the world and connecting my character to that. So sometimes I feel a little unmoored, doing, you know, like a straight up, hey, we're going to do kind of a Mad Lib style character creation. I find it a little scary, but it's also kind of just fun to be able to, like, I don't know, it just feels very fun to just go have a silly goofy time and shoot the shit, as opposed to you know, really trying to get into the narrative too deep.
Oh, we got plenty deep.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we got
We discovered yet another evil of the Jameson Company, you know?
It was
A
so
weevil.
on brand for them, though. It was like just taking away the thing that makes a town alive and just sort of like hiding it in a little cage. Like they would cage armadillos.
It's almost like I did my research.
What? No.
I'm very similar to I approach D&D like similarly to Rowan in that like I kind of like I'm like, okay, facts, like build on this. Where does this come from? Like this has to come in for a reason. And so it's very fun to approach it from the other standpoint and be like, actually this creature carries a trough and it's part of it. It's part of the ensemble. Yeah. And like this one's knee explodes.
Was the banana hammock, like banana jam or whatever that thing is, was that in your character sheet, or
Whatever
did you just come up with it later?
That was Rowan.
I
think that might have been my fault. I think
that was a Rowan contribution.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because we had Jorsets, like Jean Corset, And then I think at one point off mic, we may have talked about having a banana jammock, like little denim shorts.
So what happened was
Okay, we're gonna get the lore now.
What happened?
friend of the
was-
friend of Mage Hand High Five, Imani Russell, was making their Broadway debut. And we were saying what we were going to wear when we attended the Broadway debut to support our friend.
Yes.
There we
And
go.
it was
and we landed on banana jammocks.
Banana jammocks.
So we had to give. I mean, I just figured it would match with the Jorsets if he had a banana jammock. I felt like it would really complete the aesthetic.
It did.
So sorry.
And let's be honest, we've all dreamt of Casey in a banana jammock before. I mean, that's a universal experience. Even if you haven't met Casey, you've dreamed of him in a banana jammock.
It's kind of wild how that works.
It's like that Nick Cage movie.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to wander in. I'm trying to leave. I can't find the exit.
Everyone dreams about Casey.
That's
in a
exactly
banana
the
jammock,
dream.
but he's so apologetic to be there. Like, he's so sad to be there.
I'm panicking.
You go to sleep, and every night you find a distraught and underdressed Casey in your dreams. He's so upset. You're upset. Everyone's upset.
Yeah, I mean, I do
For
feel
only
like
$50 a month on Patreon, you can get this dream every night.
Upgrade to the jammock tier.
All right, so guys, you really do have to go listen to the podcast if you want any of this to make sense. Really, it's funny. Like, it's not going to be a waste of your time. But it comes up.
It would kind of be a little bit of a bizarre experience to listen to just the talkback, no episode.
I mean, yeah, it
would be a choice for sure.
So you guys mentioned that like you usually play much crunchier things, that more preparation, like more knowing what you're going into. Is there anything of this that like you enjoyed and you'd want to bring into your everyday practice?
I loved the character creation aspect of it because just kind of being given, when I run games, they're very low prep. Even though I run D&D, it's very low prep. I make a beginning, I make an end, and the middle is where it goes. And so being able to do that with a character for me was a lot of fun versus I'm usually so oriented by the mechanics. Like Stump started off with a class, and then the character was built around it. So just having this small paragraph to make whatever nonsense just came out of my mouth was a lot of fun.
I loved the origin, like the little backgrounds of each character, like filling that in and having like silly little motivations, like is so funny. I loved that. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I feel like you could make an NPC that way a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah. Like you can make some weird little guy using the...
I feel like as GMs, we've all had that experience of you have a table where most of the people are kind of following the same vibe, and then you've got one person who comes in and like, I'm Chuckles McGee and I use bananas for knives, and you're trying to figure out how to square them with everything else that's going on. And in this kind of a game, everyone is Chuckles McGee in their own worlds, and then you're trying to bring them all together, and it's just embracing the chaos is so much fun. And with this Mad Libs kind of style, everyone is in on the chaos, and so you're just I don't know, you're just going wild together, which is really refreshing.
I also really like the aspect. I mean, this is something that I could see myself bringing into games that I run, where like normally my style is like a little bit more like maybe horror comedy, like a little dramatic, a little spooky. But I still think I could see myself using the idea generation of like, sourcing from the players, like, hey, can I get a weather pattern that is common here? Or like, hey, can I get, do you guys, okay, give me like a critter that I can throw in here. You know what I mean? Like just sourcing ideas from the group is really fun in that way. And I think I could even see myself using that in other campaigns with other tones and settings and concepts.
It's such a, like, just bringing, like, for any TTRPGs you play, whether it's something as crunchy as D&D or Pathfinder or something as light as this, it's always such a good idea as someone who's running a game to leave holes for your players to fill.
I love no.
I love it when my players fill my holes. Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah. Yep, I love it when my players fill my anyway. Yep, we're all there together.
We should also probably mention Rowan's other podcast, Ace and Afraid.
Yeah, where I was talking about being asexual and afraid.
This is not a real podcast.
One day it'll become real. We talk about it so often.
It's not real yet, but maybe one day it will be.
It's just as a note for anybody running games, just leaving a hole, even if it's just like a character's lineage or just like someone's job. It's the name of an establishment in your town can just makes your players feel like they're so much more involved in the world building, and they will think of better ideas than you.
And honestly, it goes both ways. Something that we've talked about in our own talkbacks for our show is that in our own character creation, we left holes in our backstory that Casey could use of this for Casey to fill, filling up our holes.
On one thing about Mage Hand
like,
High Five, we're always filling each other's holes.
Yeah. Like, there's this mysterious person from my backstory and I don't know where they are. Or, like, I think this person is dead, but they might not be. Those kinds of things that if both the players and the DM are leaving those spaces open, then it's like puzzle pieces. Nice. Yeah.
I hate this.
But like it helps to fit everything together. I'm just gonna leave. This is my moment. Bye, everybody.
One more thing I really enjoyed about this is I feel like it is very difficult to have like a pickup game of D&D. Like, this feels like the right vehicle for that, where like you're in town with a couple of friends and y'all want to play a game, but like D&D takes such prep, and like the DM's got to write out like a little session, and like there's so much planning that goes into it. This is so you just go. Like you just pick it up and you go. Like this is the closest game to a pickup game of D&D I think you're gonna get, and which is a lot of fun. That's something that like I'm gonna have to like introduce to friends that I'm like hanging out on a Thursday. Fuck it, it's a Thursday night. We're hanging out. Do a pickup game of D&D.
Yeah, I feel like I tried to design this like at every moment to resist the pain points of a one-shot D&D game. You know, it's just like where can we cut where can we cut moments that cause friction and don't add things? You know, it's like
I mean, and I think the thing with like one shots too, running them in a more crunchy system is like, okay, so I'm gonna lose a weekend prepping for a one shot, and then y'all are gonna come and goof off and be Chuckles McGee anyway because it's a one shot. So I'm literally gonna put so much time and effort planning all of these not plot points, but planning all of this context for this world that y'all are just gonna fuck around anyway. And so this is just sort of like okay, let's cut to the chase and just fuck around.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Kind of similar to the low prep. I saw you, Linnie, you were taking a bunch of notes while we were just messing around. What were you looking for and like keeping track of for what we were doing?
So 2 things. I think so. This is like something I'm still trying. I try very hard to flesh out like in the actual book, because I want this to be accessible for people who've never played as well. And so like I think we've played a bunch, so like we can see, you get a bunch of details, you get things, you can sort of see the narrative shape in the way that would make sense. But I also, for someone who doesn't have that experience, I don't want them to pick this up and get overwhelmed by detail. So first off, I'm looking for like major plot points. So what is your objective? Who's getting in your way? What does the in your way actually look like? So I can already sort of, before we even start, have laid out in my head, where do you need to start, where your middle, and where is your end, so that everything I'm doing is pushing toward that. And that's why there's questions in the back to like guide people who want some more guidance on how to like look for those things when they first get the adventure, so they're not just like, this is a bunch of detail. So everything is like written to make sense, like to have obvious through plots that are perhaps familiar to people. Yeah, so first off, I'm just like slotting in details to that overarching plot that already has been sort of established by the adventure and the questions. And then a lot of it is just callbacks. Like, it's funny when you talk about something and then it comes up later. And I'm bad at remembering that, so I just write it all down. And then because everyone's generating stuff, and I think that like the purest form of this game is where everyone's playing together, which I think like that's what you guys were talking about. It's just like the generation of ideas to and from everyone. And so I'm also just writing out all those ideas and making sure that like that still's coming up and they're all conglomerating. So really, it's just a bunch of names. And yeah, so I have like a bunch of Greeked outlaw names, the Jumping Jorsets, and then like a whole flow chart of the armadillos and the zeppelins and how that thing worked.
Great.
And then I have like your characters here, just so your names, your characters' names, professions, and then attributes. So I can try to keep track of this. But yeah, a lot of it is just like writing down and then ignoring it once it stops becoming relevant and not getting too caught up on details. Like, you know, for example, the Jangle went through some iterations, shall we say.
Sure. Yeah. Safe to say.
At first, Jangle was regular, and then he was wider than he was tall, and then he was flat. Like, he was a two-dimensional cartoon man by the end of it. Like a rectangular guy.
This flat Stanley motherfucker.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like to think that he, like, if we take off his hat and put it on someone else, it would become a regular hat. Like, if he takes it off and I grab it, it, like, stops being a cartoon. And it's like a Roger Rabbit thing where you take it and it becomes real.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, Bumblebee's already is in a spatial anomaly, so I wouldn't see why that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
As established.
I love the idea of... So, Linnie set up this game to be sort of in the world of our existing campaign, the Badlands. And this was so completely cartoonish and unhinged. I love the idea of Casey, like, just laying in bed tonight after we're done, just going like, how do I make this all fit? What are these things? Is there any way to make this real?
Casey, is there any way to make it real?
To this wildness.
Casey, what's on your mind? I know now the Jamesons are out to get.
If our crew doesn't run in to Jangle in particular, I'm gonna quit.
Okay, wait. I have a question after this.
I think I've got it. I think in Threed they have these picture houses, which is, you know, where they show the propaganda newsreels of like what's going on in the wastes. And on Saturdays they play these like 1930s Flesher style cartoons. Fleischer? That the cartoonist from the 1930s.
Fleischer?
With the like white gloves. Fleischer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And with the like the white gloves and the sort of like Steamboat Willie type cartoons. And I think these antics, the antics of Jangle the Squish and Deadeye Dennis and Marsh and oh my gosh,
Larry.
And Larry.
Larry Lilacs.
These Larry Lilacs. grace the Saturday morning cartoons of the newsreels of Threed. Sort of the antics of like,
so what you're saying to me.
What are those wastelanders getting up to this week?
I think it's that. I think for me, it's the fact that it's propaganda. Like, it is still propaganda.
This is like Donald Duck versus the Nazis. Like,
that's crazy. Jangle the Squish is anti-Badlands propaganda from Threed.
So that means we're gonna get like Jorset merch.
Oh, there we go. We could actually get a Jangle the Squish cartoon like on a t-shirt.
I would wear that. I'd wear that. Please, someone make that. Please, I'm begging you, make the first piece of fan art that they do Jango the Squish.
I think it would have to be a blanket, though, right? If someone
don't actually do that.
Blankets.
Yeah, if someone's gonna make
no.
It's gotta be a throw. It's gotta be a throw blanket where we stuff the entirety of his sort of being into a blanket.
Yeah.
His hands and feet like drape off the ends of the blanket.
Ooh, like little tassels, the hands and feet tassels.
Yeah.
It comes in a barrel.
Okay, I know I am the oldest person here. I don't know if anybody watched Full House, but DJ Tanner had a pillow person, which was like, it was like a square, just like pillow guy with a face and like sticking out little hands and feet.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I'm imagining here.
That's
and it's
disturbing,
and I am all about it.
Yeah, but this
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god.
This is serious.
I have a follow-up question, which is, how do Salome, Stump, and Hayden react to this crew if they meet, like if they encounter them on the road?
On the road,
or in a tavern?
I mean,
like out.
I think that's up to y'all.
No, I mean, like in reality.
Yeah, I'm asking Robin and Max, and I'm thinking about.
I mean, I think that Hayden would just assume that this was like, it's like meeting Mickey Mouse at Disney. You're like, on some level, you're aware this isn't actually Mickey Mouse, but you're still excited at that level of like, I'm meeting Ariel. I'm meeting, I don't know, the old guy from
Jangle.
Up.
Jangle the Squish.
I'm meeting Jangle the Squish.
I guess that's true. Salome would have seen the picture house propaganda in Threed.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been her context. So I think she would see them and be like, huh, y'all are really kind of giving us a bad name, aren't you? Okay. Like, as someone from the Badlands who lived in Threed, she'd probably be like, I don't know that I like this.
On some level, Hayden thinks that they're real. Like, Hayden has snuck into the picture show, seen these cartoons, and been like, yeah, they're out there somewhere.
Yeah.
If you could compare the Jump and Jorset cartoon to anything in the real life, what would it be, like, for children's cartoons? So I can figure out what Stump's reaction to Sally watching it would be.
Oh,
sort of like
so funny.
Like, it's not
like
Bluey,
you catch your
I'm
kid
assuming.
watching a weird cartoon.
Like, are we talking like Flapjack?
I mean, it's like Flapjack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Flapjack.
Like Foster's
I feel
Home
like
for
it's
Imaginary
like
Friends.
like Tom and Jerry. Like Tom and Jerry, but propaganda.
Oh, like it's a classic?
Oh yeah.
Or like early
kids,
Looney Tunes, like really
kids
early Looney Tunes.
Yeah, kids love this.
How
stuff,
long
man.
has it been
like,
running?
They love the antics of Larry Lilac. I think it's not the first cartoon that they played in the picture houses, but it's the longest. Like it's the one that's been going on the most, and it's the most popular.
Okay.
It's the classic.
So Stump and Sally watch it together,
Yeah.
I guess.
For sure.
If there's a picture house in Mountain Creek,
So, yeah, you go.
Oh, Linnie, I was going to ask a question to you. Like, for you, how do you find? I mean, I think you've done this, certainly with me in other contexts, but like, how do you find GMing one of these for just a group of players that is like, with the exception of me, like almost completely new to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really want to play this with an entirely new group of players, because I think every time I've done this, I've played with people who'd never played before, for sure, but I've never played it with everyone being new. And I think it's, for people who've never played it before, it's fantastic, because especially people who've almost never played any games like this before, this is like something they do feel comfortable jumping into. And I'm like, so I get like my actor friends who've never played a TTRPG, and I'm like, it's fine, just show up. And so like the first half hour, 45 minutes. They're like, yeah. And then you get to watch them get it, which is fucking incredible, and this is my favorite part. So that's really fun. So playing with people who've played before, like you guys, but not played this particular game, I think it's one of those of people usually expect more rules, and so being like, no, there really aren't. Like, you guys, we're just gonna jump off together and trust that we can catch ourselves on the way down on this one. So I think a little bit of it is like just making sure everyone feels comfortable with that, and like we're not dragging everyone over that metaphorical cliff, but also not letting people get caught up in the weeds, and like letting them experience like the joy of this thing, which is that it's just happening. It is happening.
Yeah.
There's definitely a different, I don't want to say approach to it, but like how we kind of talked about the difficulties of one shots. It's kind of like you got to get it going, and then once you get there, it kicks in. I don't know where I was going with this. I had it, and then I lost it. I'm used to podcasts where you can edit
Far
it.
away. It's floating in the wind, like Jangle the Squid.
Like, I mean, I feel like maybe this will help get you there, but please interrupt me if you find it again. I feel like with one shots, you know where you're starting, like before you start the game, and this is really, you are discovering it actively. And so I think maybe with one shots, you expect a little bit more certainty in the beginning. Like you sit down knowing what you're going to do, and here it's you very much like find out as you sit down.
There's a certain element of like you're building a plane in free fall.
Yeah.
And there's that sense of panic when you're starting, when you're just grasping at pieces, trying to put things together. And then at a certain point, like you said, it clicks and you realize you're flying and you are in control suddenly. And there's no high quite like going from I have no idea what's going on to like, oh wow, we're in a fully operational flying machine.
I think I found
Falling with style.
You mentioned playing it with people who haven't played it before, but have you played it with people who don't know each other?
Yeah. So this used to be, last year we ran a bunch of these games and we would just invite basically anyone who we knew seemed like they'd be fun to play with.
I did one. And I didn't know anyone going into it.
Because I think that's something that we as a group who have played, now basically hundreds of hours of D&D together is, we kind of know each other's tendencies and we can lead each other and we know exactly what everyone's comfortable doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does lend itself well to individual people, like, because you were talking about Chuckles McGee, right? Like everyone creates their own chuckles. And so I think if people don't know each other, they still can create their own character they feel very comfortable with, and they have something to do for that first 40, like half hour, 25 minutes as they figure out who each other are. But honestly, it is because, and maybe this should, I think that is the challenge once getting them comfortable with each other. But I will say it is easier to get started because they don't have all these bits built up between each other. So they're like, let's just get to the story instead of spending
That's true,
I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about.
an hour riffing.
Imagine what you're talking about.
I spent 5 minutes.
I
spent 5 minutes trying to pick my name because I was like, do I do an in-world bit or do I just pick a new name?
Just pick a new name. And we picked a new name.
Yeah, I think it's worked out really well. People don't know each other because everyone feels very on the same playing field. Because even if they do know each other, like there is no Tabletop Gone Mad has no lore, right? I think we were talking about this in the podcast. Like there is no world you can know. There is nothing. There's no pre-knowledge you can have over someone else before you start a game. So I think everyone has helped make everyone feel comfortable at the table. But yeah, I think that having strong characters helps. And it's been, I don't know if there's honestly been that much of a difference once we get going. I think I've just noticed it like in the intro and setup.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I did have a question for Casey. How did it feel letting someone else play in your world? Even though it was kind of a bastard cartoon version.
It was a lot of fun because like it was simultaneously like handing over my toys to someone else, which I do every time I come to D&D. Like every time I show up to D&D, I'm like, all right, play with the toys. Don't break them. Well, break some of them.
Yeah, please don't hurt them.
Break some of them. But it was fun because like it was fun to see like little things like Jameson being sneaky and destroying the livelihood of towns, which is very in character for them. But it was also fun to like see it through almost a like funhouse lens of like goofy silly times of like this is how the Jamesons would destroy a livelihood in like a Saturday morning cartoon. And it was so fun to see that side of it as opposed to like the horrible atrocities that they're usually committing. So it's
they're murdering
it's
people.
Really
normally,
fun.
So.
They're blowing up towns.
Yeah, like it was a lot of fun to see it from this angle and see sort of like almost a parody of it. Like it was really fun and I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed playing in it. Thank you for lending it to me.
It's got to be kind of weird to create a parody of someone you know's work, right?
Yeah.
Like, and also Casey on your end to have a parody of your work created. Like, that's just kind of odd, right? Like,
honestly, that's how you know you made it. That's how you know you made it. People are parodying your work.
It's the Weird Al of tabletop.
Yeah, it's kind of like caricature, right? Like where the bits that are most distinct get emphasized and exaggerated in different ways.
Yeah, which is really cool. Like it was like genuinely really fun to see.
It was pretty fun.
So thank you.
Yeah, it was pretty fun to do. I had a blast. I guess jumping off that, like, do you think there is a world in which you could run a serious Tabletop Gone Mad game and it still be fun?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that does.
Rowan is so confident.
Yeah, tell me more. Tell me more.
Yes, absolutely. I've got the pitch.
Pitch.
Yes.
Do you mean dramatic? Okay. Like, what is serious in this definition?
I think there's like I think the cartoon funhouse that we talked about. Is there a way of I mean, maybe it still might be cartoon, but I think Rowan has a pitch. Pitch it, Rowan, and then I'll tell you if that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I do. Well, I guess serious is kind of up for grabs as a word, right? I don't think anytime you're playing like a game, anytime you're doing tabletop, I don't know that we should all be taking ourselves too seriously. But if you want to do drama, right? Like if you want to do drama, if you want to do horror, I think you can do it. And I think what it is I think the inherent sort of silliness of a Mad Lib style thing is that the words being taken in are kind of random and silly, and we're meaning them to be silly. And so I think what we ask, right, in that context is just put a little bit more infrastructure in and say like, okay, this is the pitch, this is the concept. I think we could genuinely do it with the exact same adventure setup that you had, with the exact same like paper of Mad Libs that you had, and just say keep it all in world, right? Like keep everything, keep all of your word suggestions and stuff in world. And then I think genuinely just with the tone of the players and the GMs like doing all of that, I think you could carry it off.
Especially if you used the table to roll the words that you get rather than doing random prompts and make sure the list of words that you're going from are all in-world words so that you're not getting things like, you know, Jorsets.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think if you know what kind of tone you're going for, you know, instead of Jorsets, it would have been, you know, gunpowder, right? Like, there's I think as long as we all know what the tone we're going for is, I think we can get there together. And I think we can have fun doing it.
The other thing is, and it's just, it's a, even though it is kind of a comedy acting skill that comes with it, is that even if the things that your characters are saying are wild, it's the truest thing for those characters in a way that what we just did, everything had kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to it of this is wild, but no matter, you know, me getting Jangle getting avocado to sneak under a door, there's a way to have that be more dramatic than what happened.
I mean, the other half of it is that there are silly things that happen in our campaign.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
Yeah.
the mayonnaise goggles exist.
Yeah, there's goofy I mean, and all the good drama has comedy, right? And so, but I think there's just a world too where, like, as a GM of that moment, even if everyone came up with like really silly stuff, because the thing about Chuckles McGee, the thing that really shits me about Chuckles in a regular campaign, okay, is that 9 times out of 10, Chuckles ends up having real heart and having a real moment. And so I think what you have to do is be like, all right, Chuckles, you think this is funny. I'm going to kill your family. And then all of a sudden it's drama with Chuckles. And all of a sudden you just
I'm gonna take out all of the McGees.
It's like seriously, as a GM, like, I can take what's his ass, Blanket Man, Flat Man.
Jangle the Squish.
Like, as a GM, I can take Jangle and roll him up into a little ball and put him in a barrel, and all of a sudden he has 10 minutes to escape the barrel before he runs out of oxygen. And like, that's Jangle's truth now.
I feel like Rowan is just like pitching themselves to be on the Halloween version of TGM.
I
am a little bit. I want to do it.
Yeah.
Stay tuned,
We
folks.
had a home game that Rowan made that was just such a good little mini horror adventure that I wish we recorded.
It's always that always the way?
We might do a sequel to it with at some point.
Yeah, might do some kind of horror.
Rowan fucking kills horror.
Thank you.
Fucking gave me a decapitated head in the snow.
I was hoping that would stick with you.
Yeah.
And we were all dads. We were all traumatized dads.
So yeah, we absolutely brought the comedy into it with our character choices, and then there was decapitated heads and children going missing, and
what can you
classic?
Say? They brought in a bunch of Chuckles characters,
and you were like, "Fucking watch me."
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
I feel like my instinct has always, because it's funny because every other game we've played, with the exception on every other game we've played on Twice Rolled Tales, I think with the exception of maybe Punderworld, which is my own private baby, I love dearly.
That was a lot of fun.
There will be a module coming out soon, and it will be great.
Ooh,
not like soon. I mean, soon.
Like eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think very much is a twin spirit to Tabletop Gone Mad. But the other stuff is all very, like, much more serious, much more character focused, much more like, achieve catharsis or die. Which is the classic Linnie Schell special. But 4K Noah's does, sure. And then my instincts have always been, whenever I played Tabletop Gone Mad, is like not to lean into that. Because it always felt like I was making a promise that this was going to be a fun, silly thing. And I'm wondering how much of that, like, did you guys, especially as players who've never come in, feel that fun, silly thing was implicit in the premise, or just the thing we'd agreed upon, if that makes sense?
I think the Mad Lib nature of it kind of invites that in.
It encourages silliness
because you don't know what you're getting.
I think you would have to out loud say, we're going to do this dramatic on purpose for people to make that assumption.
We're going to do sad libs.
Well, I think we both said...
Thank you, Travis McElroy.
Hey! I think we've always said, like, these make excellent adventure prompts as well, which I think is, like, absolutely true, and I think that's, like, what Roman was going for. I was just wondering, it's like, is by making it less... Is the randomness, like, the thing that is Tabletop Gone Mad? And are you in effect homebrewing something if you remove that random element and constrain it more toward a narrative that has less?
I think it's what Rowan said about kind of everyone having an agreement of what the parameters of the story they're going to tell is. Because I'm sure if we did this again and we went, this is going to all be not dramatic in the sense of like a drama, but this is going to be truth in world without, even with the same characters. it would be a very different vibe.
Right, because all it takes is one person throwing in a rogue avocado, and suddenly you've got the goofiness has returned.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's as much homebrew. It like doing serious tabletop gone mad is as much a homebrew concept as doing Western D&D. You know, like if someone gets together and says like, "Hey, let's play D&D," you're sort of assuming this high fantasy thing, which is honestly not really my favorite genre to play in. But if someone says we're going to do D&D, but we're going to do genre, like that's kind of a spin. And I think doing like more dramatic TGM would feel like it would need to be like an intentional spin on the game.
Yeah.
I think I agree.
I think there's also, in that instance, there's a little bit less of like teeing up almost in kind of like the improv sense. Like if I knew it was more dramatic, I may not have, said that when I turned, I made a slight gust for Marcia's knee or, like things.
Yeah. I mean, like there's so much of what we did could have been like a terrible curse visited upon these characters if played differently.
Yeah.
I think one other thing that I think I find interesting is that Tabletop Gone Mad, it lends itself sort of to a instantaneous nature. Like, you can pick this up and play it in about 5 minutes. And I think the drama, it depends on how long you're willing to go. Because I think it's hard to get drama and it's hard to get stakes immediately. I think you have to build up investment. You have to take time. You have to build up stakes. I think silly stakes are able to be pretty quick. And so I think a little bit of the instantaneous silliness does lend itself to Tabletop Gone Mad. And I think over time, being able to build in drama, I mean, I think it's certainly possible, but I think it takes more time. Like, I think you would have to play Gone Mad over a little bit of time.
Hear me out, though, right? Like, I think you're right, but hear me out. Here's a pitch, and I think it just came from Robin talking about building a plane mid-flight. I think if you pick the right point of entry, you could still do it. Because I think if you're like, all of you are passengers on a plane together, the engine fails. Go.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could do it. I think you could do it the same amount of time. I believe in this.
That's fair.
I feel like this is a gauntlet that Rowan has thrown down and that we are going to make them pick up. Stay tuned.
I'm not the person for that.
No, I mean, we've thrown around me GMing 10 Candles at some point.
I would love that.
Which
that'd be really fun.
Such a good fucking game.
Sitting over there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's spooky as all fuck. Everyone dies, and you die horribly, and you die badly, and you know you're gonna die badly. So what do you do about it?
Enjoy
Not for everyone.
Live life to the fullest.
I don't know this game, and I'm terrified.
Oh, it's
oh, I bet you'd love
a game that is so well designed that like it makes me angry. Like, it's so perfect that I'm just like in a rage.
Perfect.
This is it's definitely a full conversation for another time, or another talkback perhaps. But look it up. It's
there we go.
Not the easiest game to podcast, but it is a fucking incredible game. Yeah, I feel like that those are just lovely thoughts about Tabletop Gone Mad. This is why I love like throwing it to other people. And like we had Elliot Davis write some adventures for it, and it also affected and changed some things the way we did things. Just like every time you give someone the thing you make, they just bring it back to you a little different and better, which is beautiful.
Let
and my
people play
favorite
with your
part about
toys.
Yes, please play with my toys. Break them if it's narratively good.
Let your friends fill your holes and play with your toys.
Hey. Okay.
On that note, goodbye.
This has been Ace Unafraid.
I feel like I have one last question.
Yeah.
But do you guys have any other last questions before I give mine?
No, go for it.
Okay. It's like you've played Tabletop Gone Mad. You've seen, at least in some respects, the book, which is a pretty book. Look at it. It's a demo cover, but we're still getting there. But
It's a
look at
good
it.
book.
It's
That's
very
a
book.
good demo cover.
Wow.
It's a very good book. Yeah. I can't show you any art in it, but I think the art for the Not So Great Lands is going to become the cover art for the podcast thing. I have to send that over.
Oh, yay!
It's cute.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've got a very talented artist on it.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, it is very exciting. He does a little like goblin comic. It's called Goblin Inn, I think, and it's just like him goblins running an inn and getting up to hijinks. But he did a bunch of doodles that are like in that style, but not goblins. So it's very good. They're actually they're really good. They're really really good.
Wait to see him.
Yes, soon. Buy a copy of Tabletop Gone Mad, coming to most bookstores near you. Hopefully,
I did.
Yes. Oh, you'll get a copy. Oh, yes, you did. We will send you a copy.
Back the Kickstarter.
Yes.
Sorry, did you have a question?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did have a question. I was winding toward it. The question was, we played this, you've seen this. Like, where would you suggest we go next with it? Like, I think, what wild, wacky thing would it be fun to see us do with this?
Like a genre?
Sure, genre, different, using it for different purposes, expanding it, shrinking it, putting it on a deck of cards.
I would love for there to be elements of Mad Lib equipment.
I was gonna say
so
that.
So like you have a Mad Lib weapon or Mad Lib magic item or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% like a Mad Lib's armory of like this weapon lets you gain control of plural nouns. Like
yes.
Like not the concept of plural nouns.
Like a spell list. Like you. I mean, you could break the game very easily, but I feel like this is kind of a game that's meant to be broken.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Another thing I'd love is if there were opportunities where prompt words from the beginning, we don't know where they're going to come in until later on in the session.
Fun.
So you throw in a word like trampoline, and you know that at some point trampoline is going to come into play, but you don't know when, and it's sort of like just one or two word prompts that are held in the back pocket of the GM until later on.
That's fun.
Ooh, very fun. I love that.
Yeah.
I wonder what it would be like to create the characters as we did, but get to play them a little longer. Continue, like have similar characters, but over a couple sessions of Tabletop Gone Mad. So if you wrote like 3 sessions out and you filled in the blanks as like a whole little mini thing.
Yeah, longer. We had a name for it. I can't remember what it was called, but like an extended campaign.
Tabletop's Gone Madder.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. I think that could be...
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll play Jangle more.
I really like the arsenal, and then I think I am throwing my hat in the ring for tone shifts of various kinds, like just playing with different like how far can we take this before it breaks kind of play. Please, let's do this scary, let's do it fun, let's do it romantic, like let's see how many genres this can occupy.
I so want to see you do that. I think I feel like every time I play this, I'm playing it for people who haven't seen it before. And I feel like there's always an element of like, what is the standard that we're going to play? And then within that, we're going to make something really funny and creative. But yeah, like fucking bust it up, man. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just mean like as a like, where does the game go next? Like my instinct is always like, let's break it. Let's see let's see how much strain we could put on it until it breaks.
I think I think it could take a lot. I guess we'll see how much.
I just think it could hold up is all. I'm like, yeah, let's play with it. I think it could. I think it's got a lot of like range.
Let's do it. Absolutely. All right. Well, I can't wait for that. I can't wait to see this come out on Mage Hand High Five. and I'm sure this will come out after that, making the thing I just said a bit redundant. But all right.
If you're the weirdo who managed to make it through this whole episode without listening to the actual Tabletop Gone Mad episode, you should probably
give you
Get
$1.
some ice cream or something, though. You're wild.
You're incredible.
Yeah, we love you.
You
In like a
valuable
very real
listener.
way, we love you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're keeping the show afloat. Which show? Both shows, because you're gonna go check out the one you haven't checked out yet. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an incredible time, both the game and then chatting about the game. And thank you for coming on. You can check out. Does someone want to give a spiel about where they can check out Mage Hand High Five and all the stuff that you guys do?
I think that's Robin.
Yeah, it's usually me on our actual podcast. So, I mean, you can check out our website, www.magehandhighfive.com. We are on all manner of social media at Mage Hand High Five. A variety of spellings of Mage Hand High Five, unfortunately, because social media is a hellscape. But we're there, and you can come hang out with us. And you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/magehandhighfive, and join in on even more of this kind of silliness. If you want us to be goofy and not just like serious Wild West desperados, the down low is where you need to be.
Yeah, it's it's in the middle.
There's mayonnaise goggles, as we've discussed. There's all kinds of goofiness, but yeah, come on over. We're on all of the podcast catchers that you love and listen to, so just go give us a listen, try us out, and tell every single person you know.
Yeah. If you hate it, tell your enemies.
do it.
If you love it, tell your friends.
Spread the word. There's no bad press. Of course, links to all of that will be down in the description, as well as any of the links for you to be able to purchase your own copy of Tabletop Gone Mad. If you check out the rest of our YouTube channel, you can check out a bunch more copies of Tabletop Gone Mad, a bunch of other actual plays, and as well as a bunch of homebrew stuff we do playing in other people's worlds and making up our own. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you on the next one.
And how about a high five?
Hey!
We've never had a visual high five before. I don't know what to do.
Ah.